All right, ninjas, welcome to the Complete Guide to Master Serum 2. This episode has taken a bit, but today we're going to be hitting the global section of Serum 2, which is going to give us access to a couple of important features. One, workflow things that we can turn on or off. For example, help tool tips, right? Like when I hover over stuff, it will tell me a little bit of what it does, right? The description of that. So you can choose to turn that off here. From there, we have param value to tooltips, which is going to be similar to that. Double click patterns. So right now we have it set to reset. So if I have something like the tune up and I want to put it back to its default position, if I double click, it does that versus if I put type value, it allows me to input like a value and it will set it to that value as well. Below that, we're going to have the mouse wheel parameter control. So if I, let's say, have this attunement knob and let's say I have a trackpad and I want to move up with the trackpad or the mouse wheel, then you can also do that. And you can also use a ball in a circle, like circular motions to do that, which I leave on, man. That thing is super clutch. Sometimes if you're like accidentally doing it, you might move some value. So that's why you might choose to have that off. Keyboard shortcuts like command undo, for example, right? Boom, 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 boom. We're undoing a lot of stuff, right? That's what's that going to pertain to. So if you ever find yourself that you command C when you're working on a project file and like it turns it off, then this is where you're going to change it. Okay. Below that, we're going to have default waveform in 2D or 3D. So what that means is if I have it in 2D, it's this view, 3D, it's this view. So if I put this in 3D, you're going to see nothing really happens right now until I initialize the preset. Then everything pops up in 3D, which I personally choose to have off as don't really like that form. It doesn't really give me any already have. Okay, from there, MPE value. So if you have an MPE keyboard, you can activate the MPE here. And then below that, we're going to have a bunch of other cool tools. Like, for example, the mod wheel to wavetable position when wavetable editor is open is something that's super clutch. Before in Serum 1, what you would be able to do is, let's see, we're working on a waveform. You would be able to go into the wavetable editor and use the mod wheel to essentially scan through it so that way you can see if it's floats smoothly. Problem is, it doesn't work. I don't know why that is. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm even right-clicking, but it doesn't work. So again, not really. I don't know. They should have invited me to the beta. I would have caught a lot of this stuff. Just say no. Okay, so from there, silence note effects tells when host transport stops. Let's say you have reverb or something. At the moment you play this and you stop, right? It turns it off. But if I have that set off, then it won't stop. So usually that's cool if, again, it feels a little unnatural. Stop, and it still does it. So if it feels unnatural, again, like you can have it on or off depending on your version. Use ultra quality when rendering. So, you know, in Serum 2 on the right side, we do have this quality mode here, which we can set to ultra for the utmost quality, right? I'm assuming it's going to pertain to how the saw sounds and aliasing and all that good stuff. So you can have it set so that you can run this in good mode, but when you actually render the track, it switches to ultra for you, which I leave on, right? Why wouldn't we? From there, automatically check for updates. It will let you know, and automatically delete renders after 30 days. These renders are going to be when you, let's say, have like something here like an alt warp, and you do that, and let's say you go menu and then you resample it, the oscillator warp to, let's say, B. Let's say it's nothing to render. I guess we would go render oscillator A warp here. Boom. And now when I move this, I have this new waveform, which is the ASIN plus. So this thing here, are we going to delete it after 30 days and so forth? So cool stuff. To the right of that, we have the part that I wanted to get into for this video, which is the voice control section, because this is going to pertain more to the sound design of stuff. So the way it's pertaining is this is going to allow us to really change every single note that hits slightly. So for example, let's say I have this saw sound and I'm going to make a basic pluck sound here, lower the sustain, decay. I'm going to add a bit of resonance just to kind of make the effect a little more apparent. Now, if I set this and start moving this, right, we essentially have voice modulations that will occur. So every time a new voice is at a new note, we can add slight variations to each note, which makes the sound come alive, right? If you're doing this, it can be either, whoa, the sound moves a lot, it has more bounce, versus, oh, it's very static sounding, right? So if I were to do this like this, that's a little more static. But then if I start adding like these little movements to the sound, like so and so, it becomes more alive, more analog-y, as they would say, because an analog, right, supposedly is not perfect. So each time you hit a pitch, right, a note, it's slightly different. So that's where the detune section comes into play. I'm going to overdo this section as well, so you can see what I mean. Right, not by that much, but you get the drift, right, of what that is for. So what you can use this for is for humanizing a sound, adding more movement to a sound. It's like another option instead of using LFOs on parameters of the sound. Like for instance, if we use the LFO here, right, and set to free, volume's constantly changing, versus if, like we were to do it there, it would be after every note hits. So it's just another system of doing it, but it's super clutch because it's one of the new ones. If you don't want to go in and do this to, let's say, your pan, detune cutoff envelopes modulation percentages, then you can choose to just randomize it here on the left side, which is where it's going to be cool. We can also scale it up or down. So this just means dependent on our envelopes. For example, right, and let's say right now it's this punchy. Well, I can go to the global and lower this and it gets punchier and increase it. And now again, we're multiplying or decreasing, right, the values here, and you can see there's this yellow asterisk that appears to let us know that there is some form of change going on with the scaling of it. Same thing for LFOs, and same thing for the rate, the speed of the LFOs here. Okay, now there are going to be a couple of presets here in the factory section which you're going to be able to play around with, but from there, really, this is going to be up to you guys to decide how you do it. Okay, so just to give you some ideas on some cool ways that I personally use this. I have a lot of analog synths and I like to collect them. And the reason I like to collect them is because some of them will have certain things, features in them that others don't, that leads you to create easier or harder certain sounds, right? That's why certain synths, they'll say they're very easy, very friendly to program, has a sweet palette, because they're just leading you to really good sounds that sound full, versus other synths that might overcomplicate it and give you access to different features might be a little harder to make good sounds out of, because the synth is expecting that you know a lot of techniques and it's not making it easy for you to create the sounds that other synths would have. So some of the techniques that I've learned from them, right? For instance, here, the pan, the Dave Smith synths, the way they would create stereo is by essentially doing a pan spread, which just means that every time a new note would hit, it would either be pan left or right, and you can choose the intensity of it in the synth. So now every time I play a note here, we get this really cool effect. So when you hear a Dave Smith synth, you might find a preset that does this. A lot of people might go like, wow, that's sick, and oh my God, analog, but it's literally just an auto pan that's being done, right? If you think about it down to the basic sense of it. As we move to the bottom, right, we have the detunement. So you can definitely detune some sounds. This is going to become very clutch, because when I finally start to do this release, like so, I move this up. Wrong, alt, move. Let's randomize it. Actually, maybe just be about it, because so that's the way it sounds. But if I were to turn it off, right, I do lose a bit of that analog, the drift. Right, I have it slight, but now we do it again, just slide here, boom, 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 boom. It can help just create a bit of humanization, right? A little bit of movement to the sound. But if you guys have been watching this whole series, you know there's various different ways of doing that. There's various different ways of providing that same effect there. But now you have another option to do it, the voice map section, which again, Diva will also have something very similar to that. Right, so now let's say this one, the percentage goes up, this goes down, this goes up, down. It's going to change the values of the decay, sustain, release. Cool. From there to the right, we already talked about the quality. You can change it here. S1 compatibility mode for some of the old Serum presets, right? It will switch. We can disable the smoothing feature in it, which I always leave that, always leave it off. Why would I want to do that? But maybe you might save some CPU, might want to pertain to the manual there. The tuning thing for me, I've never understood it. I feel like most synths are tuned to 440 or music, but maybe someone that understands music theory will be able to explain it a bit better. And then finally, we have the preset section. Now in this section, there are some pretty neat things if we click the advanced preset section, and you can see some of the cool things that we can access here, which I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about. The first one that I like to do is 7. So I press 7 and it randomizes the preset that I'm picking depending on the library I've chosen or the division I've chosen. So here I have a bunch of presets from different companies, including mine and some of the other ones I like to mess around with. So I can go through them all, right? I like to use this whenever I'm working on a song or doing like a jam sesh and I really don't know what I want. All right, I'm just like, always go to the same pack and pick the same sounds. So I like using this to kind of get me a little bit out of the comfort zone and get me into those folders that I usually tend to avoid, right? So for example, if I go into my season 1 user folders here, I have all of these, and then there's a shit pack section right here that I avoid, like to play, because I hate buying presets whenever I feel ripped, you know, and then feeling ripped off. It's like, so we could do that. The other thing that's cool too is we can hybridize So yeah, it's like combining the presets and making like a new sort of preset. So you can also have hybridized favoring selected presets. So if you hit 9, we can delete presets, rename, move, autoplay previews. So as I go through them, it just kind of plays them. So you don't have to hit the plus button, right? Dependent. You can tag them as well by right clicking here. You can create your own tags. I wanted to use it a lot more, but it's just kind of redundant to kind of have to right click. And instead of having something where I could search and click, I have to scroll through all the ones I've always created. So it can become a little too time consuming to go through it all, as you can see here, because then I have to do this and okay, where's it at? So instead, there should probably be a system where I should be able to double click and just type, and it will like give me what or like suggest it as I'm typing it out. We can also add notes. We can add categories here. If the name has something that's already been written here, then it will just go straight to it. For instance, a lot of the base ones will instantly just get the category base already there. Also here on the left side, you can see there's categories which we can like use pads, okay, lead, boom, hit/tab, and all these ones that, you know, based on the tags that we've had, and then based on the ratings as well. All right, guys, and that concludes this episode of the Complete Guide to Master Serum 2. So now you should be able to make the most out of your preset browser, randomize, hybridize presets together, rate your presets, tag your presets. You should be able to apply the voice map section to add a bit of humanization to the sound, making it sound more analog, to trick your friends into going like, bro, I got a new analog synth. Check it out. Just hear the sample, dog. With that being said, guys, make sure to catch the whole series. My goal with this series is to make you guys enjoy going into Serum 2, finding a sound and manipulating it to fit your track better, because that is the way. With that being said, you guys take care and you guys have a great rest of your day.